All right. What? Here we go. He wanted me to do 29 and 30. So let's look at 29 and 30 real quick, and then we'll get started with today's lesson. Today's lesson is really important, and we're going to do it without calculators today because it's supposed to be mental math. But look up here real quick. It says, use the circle graph to show the results of the survey about New Year's resolution. All right? Determine about how many of the 2,947. So this is the number that's important there, Justice, the 2,000. That's the total. All right? Now, it says, determine how many of the 2,947 people surveyed said the most important New Year's resolution was to get organized. Well, what percent said to get organized? 33. Yeah, 33%. Right? So for that particular problem, remember, 33 out of 100. The 33 represents the part, the 100 represents the whole. So the 2947 represents the part or the whole.
No. Whole.
Yeah. You agree with me? 2947 is the total.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why we would put 2947 on the bottom and X on the top.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And now we can just cross multiply and divide. Are you good with this? All right. Now let's look at part B. It says about how many students said their most important New Year's resolution was to do more reading or to declutter. Well, here is declutter is 24%. And then it says do more reading is what? 2%, which means that's a total of what?
26.
Yeah, so in this case, it would just be 26 out of 100 is equal to X over 2947. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm good with that. All right, and again, I don't care about the math. We can just do the calculator, cross, multiply, and divide. All right, now the last one I think is important also is for question number 30. It says, all right, Accessories Central is having a summer clearance on sunglasses. Maria wants to buy a pair of... Look, I'm not sure why I'm being interrupted. It says, Maria wants to buy a pair of sunglasses that cost $48 with a 65% discount. The same pair of sunglasses costs $38 with a 55% discount. All right, which has the better price? All right, so now this is a calculator question, I feel like. All right, and here is how I want you to think about it. You have two choices. You can buy the sunglasses for $48 with, it's $48 with a 65% discount. Or you can buy a pair of sunglasses for $38 with a 55% discount. All right, so now everybody take out their calculator real quick. Now, again, we've done this a lot, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this. All right, if I'm trying to find the sale price, we worked on this a lot last year. If you have a 65% discount, that means you only have to pay what percent? No, you got to listen to what I'm saying. Come on, girls. If I have a 65% discount, that means I only have to pay what percent? Don't listen to him. Think for yourself. If I have a 65% discount, 35%. Thank you very much. All right? So I want everybody to do $48 times 0.35. And somebody tell me what 48 times 0.35 is. So it would cost you $16.80 if you bought it from this company. Now, if you had a 55% discount, that means you really only have to pay what? That's the one that's 45. So it'd be 38 times 0.45. And somebody tell me what 38 times point. So $17 and what? So does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? No, but if you ask what would be the better deal, you would say, yes, you would say the first one. All right, even though it costs more initially, your discount helps it bring the price lower. Somebody with me on this? That's a good question. Thank you very much. All right, and we're going to work on those problems a lot, again, coming up, I think, in the next couple sections. All right? Yeah, they're very easy, but a lot of kids have trouble with them. Now, today's lesson, all right, without a calculator, so everybody needs to put their calculator up. All right? Now, I'm really trying to help you understand numbers. All right? Today is the day that you have to understand numbers. All right? And again, my job is to make sure your mental math is good. All right? When somebody says to you 25% off, you should be able to tell me what 25% is. All right? There's lots of different methods. Now, we've talked about it a bunch last year. All right? So it should be a review. But some of you may have had trouble with it last year. Now you should be a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser with your numbers. So I'm going to ask you as I'm writing this down, I think the most important thing is to write it out first. I don't care if you know what the answer is, Bradley. You hear me? All right, I want you to write down what I'm telling you to write down. And when I say write something down, I want you to write something down for a reason. Everybody in here should be able to say, obviously 75% of 16 is 12. Obvious. You don't have to discuss that with anybody. You can just look at that and say, I know that's what? I know that's 12. You should know that's 12. Now I'm going to show you how I got to the answer so quickly. Is everybody with me? All right? Because, again, I'm going to write something. Put your pencil down. Just listen to what I'm saying. We all know that of in math means to do what? Multiply. All right? Now I want everybody to look up for a quick second. All right? If I said 75% of 16, if we had a calculator, we would just do 0.75 times what?
16.
Times 16. But now the important part, Thomas, do you hear me? Carmen, do you hear me? This is the important part. I need you to write the information down. And if there's something you don't know, you have to listen. You have to speak up. And you have to not be afraid to ask me, how did you know that? All right? I believe everybody in here should know that 75% is the same as what fraction? 3/4. You should know that. 3/4 is 75 cents. That's how I remembered it. Everybody's got to listen to me now. Is everybody hearing me? So now, 3/4 times 16. That's how my brain did it. I didn't do 0.75 times 16. I changed 75% to what? 3/4. Now, why does that make it so much easier? Because what is 16 divided by 4? 4 times 3. That's how I knew the answer was 12. You understand that? I need everybody to be great with fractions and decimals and percentages. You'll be a lot better than most people if you can do that. If you don't know something, speak up. Did that make sense? All right, now notice again. If I'm multiplying, I could do 3 times 16 is 48. 48 divided by 4 is 12. Agreed? But it's easier to do what first? To do the division first. What's 16 divided by 4? Times 3. Everybody knows that answer is 12. So put down on your paper, quiet. Put down on your paper, 3/4 times 16 equals 12. That's what you're writing down. What? No. All right. Now on question number 2. Bradley, what does 25% mean? Somebody tell me what 25% means. 1/4. That is correct. I want everybody, I don't want you multiplying 0.25 times 32. Does everybody agree? That'd be a pain. Right? So I want everybody to write down 1/4 times 32. Now, 1/4 of something means simply to do what? Divide by 4. If I say 1/5, that means to do what? Divide by 5. If I say 1/10, that means what? Divide by 10. So if I say 1/4, that means divide by 4. You're right.
Yes.
And 32 divided by 4 is 8. I know what you mean. It's all right. Now, Bradley, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to help me. See, when you want the answer, you just give me the answer and that's it. I'm looking for help. All right, so you got to answer my questions or I'm not going to call on you. Correct answer, 8. All right, we don't need calculators for this. Number 3, everybody should be able to tell me what 10% of 37 is. 3.7. Exactly. Because 10% means divided by 10. Because 10% is the same as the fraction 1/10. Now, does everybody remember when you divide by 10, you move the decimal to the left one spot? Everybody with me? That's how we know that 37, if I divide that by 10, is 3.7. Carmen, are you with me? You understand that? You're good. You understand? You remember? You remember what I'm saying? Don't be afraid. You good? Girls up front are good. Boys? Good? All right. So that's how I want you to write down. All right? I want you to make sure that you know 10% means divided by 10, or with a fraction 1/10. All right, now let's move forward. Okay, so now we already talked about this one. This is just strictly mental math. Carmen, what's the answer to number 4? Don't help her. Now listen to me. Yes, 11.5. Listen to me now. I'm going to give you a heads up. You ready? If I said 1%, you got to listen to me. 1%, you move the decimal how many spots? Twice. 10%, you move it what? Once. Because 10% means divided by 10. 1% means divided by 100. 1% means 1 over 100. Is everybody with me? Right? So 1% would be move the decimal to the left 2 places. Good? All right. So again, thank you for that. 10%, 11.5. You can just write that answer down. These are all mental math problems. You should just write the answer down. All right? Now, if there is a decimal that you don't remember as a fraction, what should you do? Write it down. That's what you should do. And you might want to write it down like 5 or 10 times so you try to get it into your head. All right? That's what I'm asking. All right, you've got to be experts at mental math on this. That's not that hard. Since 5th grade, we've been working on this. You should be sitting back going, this is the most boring day ever, because I already know all this stuff. But some of you guys don't know it, right? Aiden? So tell me about number 5 then. Aiden, what's the answer? Yes, that is correct. 0.72. 1% is moving the decimal to the left 2 spots. Now, again, I already talked about that. It's the same as 1% is the same as 1 over 100. And when you divide by 100, you move it to the left twice. If I said divide by 1,000, you'd move it how many times? 3. Is everybody with me on that? That's how easy it is. Dividing by 10, 100, 1,000. Probably not. 1% of 231. 2.31. I'm happy. 2.31. Come on, Aiden. Remember. All right? You care more about your grade than being the funny man. All right, here we go. Now, this right here. We worked a lot on this last year. Anybody tell me what 80% of 200 is? How did you know that? How do you know? That's a good way of thinking about it. Tell me what you think. There's lots of ways to do it, Aiden. I mean it now. I'm not giving you a hard time, but I want to hear other people. I don't want you being funny, man. Hey, very good. That's another way to look at it. Because, again, 80% you could recognize as 80 over 100, right? And if I'm going to multiply that by 200, what's 200 divided by 100? 2. Everybody agree with that? And then 2 times 80 is what? 160. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. That was a good job. Those guys knew that. Now remember, Thomas, if I'm not saying something that's clear, you got to let me know because I'm testing you on this year. All right? And I'm expecting you to get exactly the right answer. We're not estimating, we're not rounding. Okay? I expect you to know those percentages. All right? Just like this percentage right here. This was an important percentage. I tried to drill into your head last year. 33 1/3% is the same as what fraction? What fraction is 33 1/3%? Which is? Yay, very good, very good, very good. So 33 1/3%, I would just want you to know as 1/3. So my final answer here is 5. Very good, guys. Now, the reason we got 5, remember, is because it's just 15 divided by 3. Now, do you understand how much simpler that is if you know the rules? All right, that's why we're not using a calculator on this. All right? Now, number 9. Uh-oh, not too many people know this answer. How did I know it was 25? How did I know it was 25? You want to tell me? Shh. All right, let's see how smart Aiden is. Go. Shh, I'm listening. No. Tell me.
Actually, it's 20 and then you just...
No. What was it? Nothing. Anybody else? Shh. Okay, here's what I do want you to write down because I think these fractions are super important. All right, so I want everybody to write this down. Last year we talked about these specific ones, so here we go. I want everybody to be able to tell me what 1/8 is. 0.125, which is 12.5%, or 12.5%. Shh. Stop talking and listen to what I'm saying. Write those down, because no one knew it. Now, after 1/8, there's 3/8. And 3/8 is the same as the decimal 0.375, which is the same as 37.5%. After 3/8 comes what? Very good. 5/8. And 5/8 is the same as 0.625, which is the same as 62.5%. And then the last one I want you to know is 7/8, which is the same as 0.875, which is the same as 87.5%. Listen. I'm not asking to be, we're not funny men today. I have too much to do. Now, does everybody see 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8? You can be a lot better at your estimation if you understand those numbers. All right, it's just something you have to remember. What? Yes. Also, I was going to show you that someone already mentioned to me that 2/8 is the same as 0.25. So sometimes I say half of 0.25. That's how I originally figured it out. Half of a quarter is 12.5. All right? So there's lots of interesting ways you can come about that. All right? But 2/8, yes. Tell me again, Jack, which one? Yes, 87.5%. This down here. If that's what you're asking me. That's a half. All right. Now, what am I telling you about? Look right here. See where it says 62.5? 62.5 was the same as what? 5/8. So now you're doing 5/8 times 40. And what's 40 divided by 8? 5 times 5. That's how I knew the answer was 25. All right? So again, those numbers right there, I think, are the ones that are important for you to know. All right? Anybody have any issues with that? Now, again, like I said, most people don't know that, so it's not the end of the world. Whether you know it or you don't know it, you should just be able to say, okay, I see. All right? It's much easier to do the problems if you know the corresponding fraction. All right, it's much easier to work with fractions than it is to work with decimals. All right, so now let's move on. All right, let's go ahead and do let's do number 10. Now, I told you specifically a good way to do 30%. Do you remember the good way to find 30% of something? Jack, what did you think? Actually, that's not a bad idea. Or we could do... No. What's the easiest percent? If I ask you, everybody here should be able to do 10%, right? So 30%, do you remember what I told you to do? 10%, that is exactly correct. 10% times 3. All right, 10% times 3. So I'm looking at this problem right here. So I'm asking you about 30% of 40. Well, what's 10% of 40? 4. Can you just listen? 10? You're not listening to me. That's why you think it's 12. What is 10? What's 10% of 40? Somebody tell me. 4. So I'm asking for what? 30%, so it would be 12. Yes, I'm not, see what the problem is, some of you are not understanding. This is why I fuss at Bradley so much, because he has the answer and I'm not asking for the answer. I'm asking you to follow my direction. And I said, what is 10% of 40? 10% of 40 is what? 4, but we want 30%, so you multiply that by 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. That is the final answer. All right? Carly, does that make sense to you now? All right. Here we go. Now we're getting into the estimation. Now we're getting into the estimation. All right? So instead of saying 11%, I can just say, yes, I can say 10%. So what I want you to write down for number 11 is I want you to write down 10% of 70. What's 10% of 70? 7. Move the decimal once. Does everybody see that? All right, now we're estimating. All right, before we got the exact answer. All right, just like 53%. I would never ask you for 53%. We might as well just change it to what? 50%, and 50% is the same as what? Half. So I would want you to write down for number 12, half of 20, which is what? 10. That's the correct answer for number 12. All right? Yes, actually, let's do that. That's better. Thank you. You do the squiggly line, all right, when it's an approximation. All right, squiggly line when it's approximation. All right? Now, 40% of 19. Instead of doing 40% of 19, wouldn't it be better to do 40% of what? 20. So here we go. So 40% of 20. Notice I'm writing down my changes. I'm writing down my changes, just like everybody else is doing. All right, now you're going to tell me what's 10% of 20? 2. So then I'd multiply that by 4. So my final answer is 4 times 2 today is 8. 4 times 2 today is 8. All right. Anybody have any issues with what I'm doing right here? All right, now again, I didn't do that right. I forgot the what? Squiggly lines, because we're estimating. Good, thank you for getting involved. What? Shh. Listen to me now. Listen. Why don't you come up here and sit? Don't get upset. Get up here. And I want you to remember this from now on. You need to ask me sooner. Ask me sooner. You hear me? All right, now get in the game. All right, here we go. I'm going to help you out here. You ready? So look up. Just look at the board. Because these are some of the rules. And again, I don't know how well you guys did last year, but I know we did this a lot last year. All right, so Ian, listen to me now. I don't want to do 40% of 19 because I really need a calculator for that. You hear me? So I'm going to change, instead of doing 40% of 19, it'd be better if I just did 40% of what? 20. You hear me? Now, we talked earlier in the day about finding 10%. You remember how to find 10%? 10% is moving the decimal to the left one spot. All right. So if you have the number 20, if I move it one spot to the left, the number, you look up on the board. The number is what? The number is 2. You with me? Right. So what I'm telling you is that 10% is equal to 2. Do you agree with that or not? But I'm looking for what? 40%. So I just multiply this by what? That's how I did that. Okay? I mean it, guys. You think I'm kidding around. I'm not. All right? I mean it. Both of you guys. I don't care what they're doing. You are distracting me. And we're not doing that anymore this year. Last year I had to put up with it because you're little babies. This year you're not a little baby anymore. You understand that? All right, so let's do the next one. All right, here we go, 14. Now here, I really don't feel like doing 87% of 42. I'm going to estimate. I'm going to change 87 to what? 87 is close to what percent? 90% of, and now I'm going to change 42 to what? 40. There you have it. You agree with that? So if I'm looking for 90%, the easiest thing I can do is find 10%, and I'm helping Ian, so please let him do it. 10% would be what? 10% of 40. Yes. 10% would be 4. So what would 90% be close to? Look right here. From 10 to 90, I multiply by 9. There you go, buddy. You always take 10% and multiply by whatever percent you're trying to get. You hear me? Now, is anybody else having some trouble with this? With the 90% of 42? All right. So do you care if I do 15? Let's do 15 together. Everybody's doing 15. Again, you got to talk to me. What do you want? What do you want me to help you with? No, Carmen, what do you want me to help you with? You sure? Look, guys, I'm telling you, there's no reason. The reason I'm mad at a couple kids is because they're interrupting everybody. I don't want you interrupting me. Some people are honestly working hard to understand this. All right? So if you got a question, you got to speak up, man. This is all about understanding numbers. If you don't understand number, harder math is even harder. You have to be good at this information. The hard stuff is actually super what? Easy if you understand the basics. It's all simple. But if you don't know something, it's not simple. That's why you have to ask. And that's why you have to pay attention on number 1 and number 2 and number 3. And then don't be like, oh, he's yelling at me again. Oh, poor me. No, get a backbone. Go.
So you're going to put the English in?
Yes, brilliant. Wow. Thank you for that. All right, so let's try. 15 was hard. 15 is hard, and we did it specifically last year. All right, Bradley, you think you know what 1/3% of 598 is?
No. Am I trying?
Tell me what you think.
33.
No. Tell me. I know what you're trying to tell me. I want to know what the answer is. What?
Oh, you would do 598 divided by 3?
No, sir. What?
You do the decimal 3 times?
Nope. Oh, here we go. Oh, well, I'm working on it. All right, let's go. And like I'm fussing at him. See, you're not the only one. You see what I'm saying? You're sitting back there worried. Oh my gosh, everyone in the class knows what we're doing except me. No, that's not true. I already found 4 or 5 others right off the bat. They're in the same position you are because they're afraid to ask. Right? Come on, don't be afraid to ask. Oh, here we go.
Twice?
No. No. Absolutely not.
Huh.
Here we go. Now watch me, watch me, watch me. This is good. Very, very important. All right? 1/3% of, I'm just going to change that to 600. Does everybody agree? Everybody agree? Chuck, listen. 1% of 600 would be what? 6. You understand that? Now is the time. Listen to me. Put your hand down. I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. This is why I get upset with some of you guys. I said 1/3% of 600 and you're sitting there. Do you understand how I got 1/3% of 600? You haven't asked me anything all day. Do you understand 1/3% of 600? You understand that, right? Now all of a sudden I'm saying 1%. Somebody's like, well, what are you talking about 1%? Right? Now put your hands down. Just listen for a second. The reason I'm doing 1% is because I'm going to use that to find 1/3 of a percent. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for the interruption again. 1% of 600 is what? 1% of 600 is what?
Oh, 6. Or, yeah, 6, right?
What is it?
6.
It's 6 because I moved the decimal how many places? 1 is 10%. Twice is 1%. Is everybody hearing me? So now what? Did you understand that? Now if you're going, man, he keeps saying that I have no idea what he's talking about. Are you good? Are you good? So if I'm asking about 1%, put your hand down. That means move the decimal to the left 2 spots. So I move the decimal to the left 2 spot, and 1% of 600 would be what? 6. But I'm not interested. Put your hand down. I'm not interested in 1%. I'm interested in what? 1/3 of that. I'm interested in 1/3. So the answer is 2. Exactly. Exactly. 1/3 of 1%. That's what a third means. 1/3 of a percent. 1/3 of what? 1/3 of 1. So I find 1% and then I divide it by 3. If I want 1/4 of a percent, I find 1% and divide it by 4. That should be common sense now. Are you with me now? And I'm saying, just because you're going, well, it's not common sense to me. Well, let me make it common sense. But that requires you to understand what I'm saying. And some of you are in la-la land, all right, not paying attention, daydreaming, shooting at the baskets at the garbage. All right, let's see if I've done a great job as usual. Uh-oh. All right, this one is a little bit tougher. Come on now. 110% of, I hate the number 39, so we're just going to go ahead and make that what? 40. So 110% of 40. All right, Diesel, don't let me down here.
I think approximately it's 44.
You are amazing. Thank you, Diesel. I feel much better about myself today. I got Diesel with the right answer. Diesel, that is amazing. Now, how do we do 110%? Well, we know what 10% is.
It's
10% would be 4, and 100% is how much?
40.
40.
So you just add
So
them.
you add them up. Very, very good. So let me write it down just to make sure. And again, you hear me now, right? You understand me, okay? So again, don't be frustrated by not understanding something. Get your hand in the air, and let me help you. And those of you guys who know, do I really want to talk to you? No, I prefer to talk to the people who don't know. That's what the deal is. All right? So if I ask for 10% of 40, 10% of 40 is equal to 4, correct? Aiden? 100% of 40 would equal what? Now, this is embarrassing if you can't tell me 40 on that, because 100% means the whole thing. Very good. I was very proud of you. So 110% is just what? 44. Because you can add 100% plus 10%, that's 110%. 40 plus 4 is 44. That's very good. All right, most people do not understand that. That's why I'm saying you can put yourself way above most people by understanding numbers. All right, so here we go. Listen to me on 17. Let's see how good we are. Okay, 24% now is close to what percent? Is close to 25%. Thank you, Diesel. And 25% is the same as what fraction?
Oh, 1/4.
1/4. So I want everybody to put 1/4 times. Now, I got to get 359 close to 360. Now, why did I choose 360?
Because it's a whole. Okay, because you're around 36 divided by 4.
There you go. That's the real reason. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 36 divided by 4 is 9. That's why we rounded it to what? 360. Now, would I have been mad if you'd have changed it to 400?
No.
No, because 400 then is divisible by 4. But this means you're really good if you can say, I'm trying to divide by 4, so I'm trying to make the number as close to a number that's divisible by 4 as I possibly can. And that would be 360. And 360 divided by 4 is what again? 90. So everybody's putting 90. Now again, hey, if you're not writing out the information, it's not helping you. If all you're doing is writing the answer, it's no good. Now what could you possibly add to that?
Oh, well, I was just going to say on a test, would you be okay if we rounded?
I don't care what you do on a test. Okay. Show your work. What?
Wait, I'm confused why would be 90.
Because what's 360 divided by 4? What's 36 divided by 4? With a 0. All right, here we go. 18. Okay, here we go. 18, put your hand down.
That's right.
Try. 91% is close to what? Yes, but but listen. We're okay. 91% is better 90. Now, 1989, we might as well go ahead and change that to what? Shh. Listen, come on. I don't want you to be serious. I'm not, and it's not funny.
1990.
Yes, but 1990, I wouldn't mind you saying 1990, but all those nines I don't like. Say it again.
1,000.
Not 1,000, but what?
2,000.
Yes, come on now, girl. Come on, come on. All right? 90% of 2,000. That's what we're doing. 90% of 2,000. All right? So now 10%, Carly, would be what? I'm listening. Shh.
It would be
200. That's correct. I don't want 10%. I want 90. Put your hand down. So what would 90% be? Now, the easiest way is to tell me what's 9 times 2. 18 with how many zeros? That's right. That's your answer. 1,800. Okay. Here we go.
What did you add to 1,000? What did you add to 100?
What are you talking?
If you add 200 to 1,000.
I don't know what you're asking me that for. Tell me, Aiden, I want to help you.
Well, like this.
Shh, girls.
Before you added 4 to. Why wouldn't you add 200?
Oh, because it's 90. So the other one was 110%.
Oh, yeah.
This is less than 100%. No, I already got. Then you're next. All right, no. She's going to do 19. You can do 20. All right. So now, this change it definitely 81 to 80. Now, what is 37.5% the same as? What fraction? Go look it up. Look it up. 3/8. Very good, girl. Very good. So 3/8. So now hold that. What's 3/8 times 80?
Oh, I got it.
Yes, 30. Good job. Good
got
job.
it.
Sorry about that. Very good. Now listen, your homework is 22 through 46. You got to try those, guys. Are the answers posted? The answers, the solutions are posted to help you if you're not sure about something.
We have to show our work.
Wait, you said 22 through 46?
These I don't think you have to show your work as much as you have to show your work down here.
Okay.
So you
Right.
said 22 through 46?
Yeah, 22 to 46. Yes.
Mr. Shao.
Yes. 80 divided
Yeah,
by 80.
the video.
Yes.
Remember? I actually I have to
All right, good job, guys. Good job.
No,